Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic, and I am here with a bit of a sensation in the UK magic community. This is a man who's a performer, a creator, an innovator. He has performed at a very high level, both as a close-up magician, a stage magician. He's got an illusion show with his family. He's been there, bought the t-shirt, worn it many, many times. And he's also very well respected and a really nice guy. And I'm, of course, talking about the one and only Steve Gore. How you doing, Steve?
I'm very well, Craig. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm great. I'm all the better for having you on the channel, mate.
Oh.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
I told two people last week that I was interviewing you, and one of them, Nemid Phoenix. I don't know if you know Nemid very well. I told him, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing! I love Steve. He's brilliant." And then I told somebody else in America, and they were like, "Steve who?" And I think it's because like you're a really well kept secret in the you've brought out so much incredible material that not everybody's aware of the body of work that you've brought out as a creator, as well as what you've done as a performer. And you know, I hope this interview is going to shine a light on everything that you've done and everything that you do, because you know, you are incredible. You really are. So, and it is December that we're filming this. So thank you for finding time. It's not like last December when we're all tucked away in our houses. You know,
we had some free time, didn't we?
Yeah, you're out doing gigs and you've squeezed me in. So thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I wanted to say thank you as well to you for all the YouTube things you've been putting out, keeping us all occupied during the lockdowns, and big round of applause to Craig as well.
Oh, mate, thank you so much. It genuinely means the world when I hear stuff like that. I see lots of messages and lots of comments, and it's such hard work. So it really does mean a lot when I hear it, that people enjoy the stuff you put out, because sometimes you're just sitting there and you're doing something to camera and you don't appreciate the fact that people are actually going to watch it. So that means an awful lot. But this is not about me, Steve. This is about you. And I want to do what I do an awful lot with Talk Magic, which is I want to kind of give people a frame of reference. So if somebody doesn't know who Steve Gore is, we can talk about who you are and everything. So we kind of get an overview of who you are. And it starts at the very beginning. So you tell me, Steve, how did you get into magic?
I suppose like a lot of us, I started watching the Paul Daniels magic show. I had my Paul Daniels magic set as a little 8-10-year-old boy, just doing little bits and pieces of tricks at home. Used to try and work things out when I was watching stuff on the TV. Then I think, used to just perform for friends, really. Then I sort of faded out. I got into doing musicals and Amdram and all that, performing side, singing and dancing. And then when I was about 18, I went to some summer fair, and there was a guy there doing some close-up magic, and I was like, oh, I used to really like doing magic when I was little. He said, well, you ought to come along, Bradford Magic Circle with me. And so I was like, oh, okay, you need to do a little audition to come along. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll practice some things, and went down and joined the Bradford Magic Circle at age 18. And it kind of went from there. I started doing shows then for the public and getting paid. And that's where I started, really, like a lot of us with Paul Daniels.
That's incredible. And it's interesting that you got into it as a kid, took a massive step back, then kind of went into it again when you were kind of a late teenager. I've spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people have told me that same thing, that they kind of left during their school years and then came back to it. It's kind of interesting.
David Copperfield, obviously a big influence on the TV, watching his illusions, and finally got to meet him a couple of years ago.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And so you got into it when you were 18. When did you become a professional? Because obviously we know you as a busy working professional magician. Yeah. You say that you kind of at 18 you started doing shows and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Did you kind of take that leap and go full time?
I've never been full time, technically.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I mean, your marketing's so good. I thought you were full time. Like, well, okay, there you go.
I've always had a regular job as well. So I've done professional work and had a regular job. Probably about, my wife's an optician, so we started our own business together about 16 years ago. So I've only worked like a couple of days a week in the shop doing the books and the accounts and that kind of thing. So I've had plenty of time to do the jobs as well. So I've had the luxury of having another income coming in. So I can turn down jobs if I don't like the sound of them.
And how important do you think it is that, of course, I've spoken to, Graham Shaw from Magic Box?
Yeah, definitely.
When I interviewed Graham, he said that, I'm paraphrasing now, but it was along the lines of, I think that if you're going to become a full-time professional magician, you're mental. Of course, he says that you should always have that kind of comfort blanket, not comfort blanket.
Backup and
yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that's important, or do you think it's ultimately? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of pros out there, so it's obviously a valuable thing. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a personal choice. I think for me, I've always enjoyed having the security of a regular income coming in, especially during lockdown when we couldn't work. At least we had the opticians that was open the whole time, so I was going in there and working, and we couldn't get any grants through, so. Because we're a limited company, so that was a good thing for us that we could just keep working.
Fantastic. So you started off doing close-up because obviously you do a lot of stage work as well, and you perform on stage. When did that happen? So you were learning close-up, you did a lot of close-up, you started performing close-up. When did you decide, you know what, I want to actually start working on stage as well?
Because I'd done like shows and performing, musicals, that kind of thing, I've sort of been happy on the stage. My first sort of gigs, if you like, in the magic scene were children's shows. So I still do children's magic shows as well as some close-up. And it just gradually got in. I thought, well, I prefer doing close-up magic. And so I got into doing some weddings and parties and things like that.
Okay, so you kind of started by doing kid shows first.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear. I speak to a lot of people and they go, oh, I used to do kid shows and then I became a close-up performer. And it's almost like they look down on kid shows like, oh, that was a period of my life. That was the dark period. We don't talk about that anymore.
The dark times.
The dark times. And it's almost like close-up magicians, kind of put themselves on this pedestal and look down at the kids' entertainers. And I've always never understood that because I love doing kid shows. I run a kids entertainment company. I do just as many kid shows as I do anything else. And what's your viewpoint on that? Like you can carry on doing kid shows now. I'm guessing that you're not snobbish about it at all.
No, not at all. No. I still enjoy doing the kid shows. It's just a different audience. You can get quite a lot of reward from seeing the little kids' faces and they're all beaming at you and the applause that way, as well as then going and doing a close-up gig and doing card tricks for adults. They're both rewarding in my viewpoint.
Well, here's a question for you. I get this question quite a lot on the channel. For any close-up magicians out there that are adding an extra string to their bow and they want to do a kid show, they want to put a kid show together, have you got any advice for doing a kid show? Because I read something on the internet the other day, I read on a Facebook post. Oh yeah, I've got a kid show next week. I've never done one before. I'm planning on doing Ambitious Card first. I'm like, no. Have you got any advice for how to, put together a kid show, or how you should do a kid show if you're a performer?
Yeah, it's performing stuff that you're comfortable with. I think I'd recommend certainly getting some special children's tricks, go to Magic Box or Practical Magic and get a few decent routines, practice them, performing for friends. If you've got children, friends, practice for them. My very first kids shows, I sort of themed it as Thunderbirds. And I had I dressed as a Thunderbird and I did the puppet walk and I had a few, then I had I saw on Paul Daniels, 9 squares on the floor where you it's like a game and you move around. Mm-hmm. I did that and I had themed it out with, the Thunderbird, different words and stuff.
Oh, wow, that's great.
But yeah, going back to your question, I think it's important as well to do some magic for the adults there as well as the children, because the adults are paying. So if you can entertain them as well, then it always helps. So quite often I'll say, if I'm in a church hall and there's a lot of children and then the parents are all sat watching, I'll say to the booker, as there's a lot of parents here, is it okay if I do a couple of things for them as well? So I'll do, invisible deck and a couple of little tricks, stand up, that the adults all like as well.
That's really good advice. Really good advice. I totally agree with you. At the end of the day, it's the adults in the room that are making the decision who to book at the next party. 100%. Go on very quickly. What's your favorite kids trick?
I usually finish with floating table, but
well, that's not a kid's trick.
I know.
That's
my finale.
Wow, that's great. I've never thought about doing that in a kid show, but you get the birthday kid up and you do mental note to nip into the warehouse and find my floating table. Very good. No,
I thought, the amount of money I paid for my floating table, I'm going to use it. So
for sure. No, that's a great idea.
Things that work really well. I have like a Harry. I call it Harry the Rabbit, which is like a two-sided sucker kind of trick. I have a practical magic thing, which was lots of chickens and an aeroplane. That really works well. I've got like a drawing board.
Oh, that one, yeah. Really good one. Yeah.
Like the rising rabbit from a hat on a drawing board as well. And anything where they're shouting. One of the things that I love to do as well, I've got the practical magic dog arm puppet.
Ah, yes.
They call it doggy, but I call it
the fluffy one. Yeah.
Yeah, the fluffy old English sheepdog.
Yeah.
So I have a routine with that where I've given him a slight surgical operation. I've put like a CO2 canister inside him with a pipe up to his mouth, so he blows up a balloon, and then it floats up, and it's quite comical.
That's so cool. Talk about taking it to the next level. Wow, a CO2 canister.
Yeah.
Man. That's
just put a normal modelling balloon in his mouth, and Pat says he can blow it up, and he can't do it, and I try and I can't do it, and then I just and it's just so
expected. Cool. I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. And outside of the kid shows, the close-up stuff you were doing when you first started, was that like the same stuff as everyone else? Restaurants and corporates and weddings and stuff. You start in restaurants and smaller private parties, then you build up and build up and build up. Is that what you were doing? Okay. Yeah. And do you have any advice, while I've got you here, do you have any advice on performing close-up magic? Because it's something that a lot of people want to do. They're an amateur. They've got a million tricks that they know. But they actually want to go out and start doing a gig, whether it be a restaurant or something, or they've got somebody who wants to book them for a private party. Is there any advice about how to actually go in and perform close up in terms of anything? How to perform, trick selection, anything like that?
I suppose, like I say, you got to discount the 999,000 tricks. Concentrate on 3 good tricks, for example. If table hopping around, I mean, yes, it's good to have another 5 in the briefcase, but concentrate on sort of 3 good tricks that you can do that are ideally instant reset, that you can just go around from group to group to group to group and just work them.
That's such an important point. I see so many new magicians that walk out and they've got pockets laden down with everything, man. It's just like, I've got 15 things in this pocket, 15 things in this pocket, and they look like 20 stone heavier than they are, and they're like jangling, and it's like, hello, and then they can't find anything, and they pull something out and it's something completely different. It's like, it's like, what am I, okay, I'm doing a trick with this apparently. So yeah, really good advice. How do you approach there's 2 schools of thought on this, and I'd love to know your opinion, because you're a creator of magic as well. Which we're going to get to in a bit, but what's your viewpoint on when you're performing close-up magic, trying to perform stuff that no one else is doing? So I've get lots of comments on this channel, and some people go, I don't do Omnideck, I don't do sponge balls, I don't do double cross, I don't do ambitious card, because everybody does them and I want my spectators to have something an whilst other people go, yeah, but those tricks work. They guaranteed applause getters, and that's the most important thing when you go to a close-up gig. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I've always done invisible deck ever since day one. I still do it even today.
I love invisible deck.
You can't beat the reaction. I've sort of tweaked mine as well. So I have like 2 invisible decks. I have like a red and a blue, and I've added an appearing card case as well to mine. So, but I still do it. But yeah, if you can do stuff that's unique to yourself, that's always good as well. So I think it's a blend.
Okay, yeah, totally agree with you. So you've set a business up with your wife. You're performing. You're regularly performing, but you've also got the security of having this company there as well. You're performing on stage. You're performing kids shows. You're doing all of this. What was the next evolution in your career? Was it starting to create magic, or were you entering competition? Because you've entered quite a lot of competitions through your career and done really well in a lot of them as well.
Yeah.
What was your next point? Was it creating, or was it entering competitions, or where did you go from there?
When I joined the circle in about 18, 19, they had annual competitions. So I'd always enter those, and try and come up with routines rather than just this trick, try and link them together if I can. So I came up with quite a few, effects and stuff, ideas and presentation doing that. So if people get a chance to do competitions, it's a really good goal motivator to get your brain thinking and try and come up with new stuff. The very first product I came out with came after that. I was in the opticians where my wife worked at the time, and these glasses cases came in and were like, "Oh, you're a magician, Steve. You must be able to do something with these." And I was like, "Oh yeah, have you seen this one?"
I have. Didn't Mark Mason market something like that a long time?
That was mine. That was my first trick with Mark Mason.
Oh, I did that for years. I mean, for years. I lost it. You can't get them anymore.
Mark's given me permission to make my own now because he'd sold out of his, so you can still get them from me.
Well, that's a game changer, because the first thing I'm doing is sending you money to get a couple of these. I used to do this so much. That was my go-to trick in restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean,
on the case.
You just tell people what it is, because I'm now raving about something. Everyone's going to be like, "What the hell is this glass case thing?"
It was basically a color changing glasses case when I first saw it, and I thought that's a really good idea. But so I had the glasses cases ordered so they didn't change color, and I've added the sight test chart on there, and then you got a pair of glasses inside, and then you can put the things down. You force a card on somebody. Let's say it's the 3 of hearts, for example. You can do the gags about oh, wait a minute, did the optician say they were mind reading glasses or my reading glasses? And then you say, oh, wait a minute, the letters have changed on the chart. It now says your card is the 3 of hearts. Can I show it? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, because if you're okay with that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically like a Himba glasses case, and it's so beautiful. It's like the thing that used to get in crackers, with a little calculator. But people never twig that, and people would never open it thinking they're going to break the. You could give it out to be examined. They're not going to go.
No, they're not. Well, as I say, I used to do that for ages, and I had this whole routine because I had the glasses in there, and I popped the lenses out of it.
Yeah.
And I did this whole ring and string routine, but without the string, with the glasses. So I had a ring, and I put the ring down, and dip the glasses in and pull it out, and the ring would go onto the glasses. So the glass case was there just for the thing. I'd take the glasses out, and I'd do this routine with the ring, and then I'd get them to put it on, and I'd do the card thing as a finale, and it was like a whole 10-minute act. That was my restaurant act for the longest time. That's great. Didn't even know it was yours, Steve. That was one of my favorite tricks for many, many years. That's a great trick.
Yeah, so that was the first thing. Yeah, so I showed it to Mark, and he loved it and put it out, and that was my first marketed effect. So,
wow, that's great. We'll talk about doing your first trick as a heavy hitter. Having it go out through Mark Mason is a big deal. He's especially back then. Back then, he had the shop in Blackpool.
Yeah,
it wasn't just online and conventions. He had the shop. it was like the mecca for magicians up north. Everybody would pilgrimage over to Mark Mason's shop to go and, you know, get sold everything and lose all their money. That's cool. That's brilliant. So that's when you decide. How old were you at that point? Don't mind me asking.
It would have been probably late 90s, 1990s. So I'd have been late 20s.
And did you create that glasses case thing?
Yeah.
Specifically because you wanted to market it to magicians, or just because you wanted something for yourself and you showed it Mark and the opportunity was there? I suppose the question I'm asking is, did you think of yourself as a creator, or were you creating just for yourself and this was a happy accident?
Yeah, definitely. I thought, I'll create something, and then I showed it to Mark and he was like, I want that.
Well, did the bug then bite? Did you then go, right, okay, I want to do more of this, I want to create more magic? Was it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay. And so what, because obviously over the years you've created a whole stack load of stuff. You've bought, you're gonna have to tell me, a lot of the stuff comes out through yourself, but you've also bought tricks out through various different companies, haven't you, over the years?
Yeah.
Including Penguin, right?
Yeah, I did it. Penguin sell some of the decks of cards, the Amnesia deck and the GPS deck. I'm trying to think. Did a couple of little effects downloads with Penguin. Some stuff's gone through Murphy's as well.
Brilliant.
Cartamundi now for my latest one, Together Forever. And I did a DVD project with Russ as well. Trick photography.
Wow, I think I missed that
sort
one.
of card from iPhone.
Oh no, I didn't miss that one. That was great. Yeah, okay, I saw that one. Yeah, that was. I didn't know that was you either. Man, you've done so much. Well, again, Russ Stevens, you know, RSVP, great company, you know, very high profile.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. So, well, I suppose the next question I've got for you then is, what do you prefer, creating or performing? Because I you know, I was speaking to the Chris Congreve about this the other day, and Chris was saying, "Hey, I'm always going to be a performer. I love performing, but I get more of a buzz from creating than I do performing, because I love to see other people performing my magic and knowing that it's living on.
Yeah,
other people performing. Yeah, what's your kind of?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's just different viewpoints. I think I do love performing. I'm happy just tinkering with bits of paper and making little gimmicks and prototypes, sitting at home with my Pritt stick and coming up with ideas. Yeah, like you say, it's something, a bit of a legacy that when I'm no longer here, that there might be some people still doing my bits and pieces. So
absolutely, that's amazing. And I want to talk more about some of the creations that you've got in a bit, but there's a couple of other things I want to talk to you about as well. And the first thing is, I need you to tell me all about this whole illusion act that you do with your family, because I don't know much about this. I don't know where it came about, but I remember a few years ago, I was speaking to a magician friend about my illusion act, and he said, have you seen Steve Gore's illusion act? I was like, I didn't know Steve Gore had an illusion act. He's like, yeah, he does it with his family. I'm like, what? He said, how's that work? He's like, oh, it's amazing. You need to watch it. I could never get my wife to be in my show in a million years. She would rather crawl over hot lava than even come anywhere near a stage. Ryland, I couldn't keep him off the stage if I tried. I mean, so where did that all come about? How has that come about? Because that's something you continue to do even now, isn't it?
Yeah. It all started probably like yourself. You have children, and then you suddenly think, oh, I could do some magic with my child. So Deanna was our eldest. She's 16 and a half now. So when she was 2, she did her first little show at the Bradford Magic Circle. It's really cute. I taught her a very basic little linking ring routine and a spinning plate that I did for her. And you can just see the moment in her face when the applause comes, and she goes, and I've got it on video, and it just melts my little heart. So yeah, each year competition came with, we'll just do a little more. So I think when she was 4, I put her in I borrowed a mini cube Zag from Michael Jordan, and we did like her school. We did like an illusion show, and then created different routines. Did some public shows, coming up with different effects. I built my own stuff some of the times. Andrew Main's In Half. Do you remember that one? It's like a cardboard box, kind of cut in half.
Because he went through a whole period of bringing out illusions that you could do out of like paper bags and cardboard boxes and stuff.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So I built a wooden version of that. So Deanna cuts me into half. So that was when she was 5 years old. And then I came up with what I call the babe in the bag illusion. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's like producing a child from an empty paper bag.
Wow. That's crazy. Man.
So you just walk on stage with a giant paper bag, you tip it upside down, nothing there, or you can tip some toys out or whatever, and then tip it again, and then a child appears from the bag.
That's great.
We started doing that, and that got onto YouTube. And most, like a lot of magicians, most years I get the call from BGT researcher. Oh, we're thinking of, we've seen your thing, it's really good. And we were like, I spoke to my wife, no, I don't think it's right. And then eventually, I'm trying to think, it was probably about maybe 4 years ago, something like that. And got the call and was like, is now a good time? Because we had 3 children then, little 2-year-old boy and Deanna and Jenna. And we thought, we'll give it a good go. So I contacted the late great Anthony Owen and said, do you want to be my consultant on this? And he was like, yeah. So I hired him to be my consultant, and we put together the bones of the genetics illusion out. So we thought it'd be really good if it was just the family at home. So that the first version of the show, we were watching TV and then doing TV interactive magic with the TV. Then we did like a broomstick levitation with a vacuum cleaner, and then a levitation on an ironing board. And we put it all together. We said to BGT first, do you like this? And we're like, definitely. We're right behind this. So we put all the money into doing the show, and we practiced it. And then the week before that we were due to do our audition, they phoned us and said, we don't want it anymore. I was like, oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's such a shame. How can they stop you from auditioning?
I know.
That's crazy.
And then a few days later, I got the email saying, oh, the trick with the paper bag that you're going to do? Would you mind if somebody else did that? I was, no.
Wow. That's crazy.
So we just then started just doing the show ourselves. We've done it in a few little theatres and conventions. Then we changed it a little bit up, swapped a few things around, got rid of the TV. Got Jeff McBride sort of helped with some ideas as well. So,
wow. And how old are your kids now?
So Deanna's 16 and a half, Jenna's 13 and a half, and Emerson's just turned 7.
And are they all still into magic? Do you still do the show together, all 3 of you? Well, 5 of you?
Not at the moment. Well, there's not been the call for theatre shows, but me and Emerson did a show in August, local theatre for a few hundred people. So he's still enjoying performing. So it's his turn to come out of the bag now. Deanna's a bit too heavy.
That's hilarious. But
Deanna's definitely still into performing. She's just into dance, not 100%. I think she'd like to do illusions. If she was doing, she still likes performing illusions if she gets the call. But she's into contemporary dance and Latin and ballroom, and wow. 6 nights a week we're taking her to dance. So
and outside of all of this, you've also had the opportunity to perform over at the Magic Castle, right? which is a big deal because a lot of the time, you get a chance to perform at the Magic Castle. That's a big deal because you can't. They're not just going to take anybody, especially somebody outside of the US.
Yeah.
So how did that all come about?
Well, I used to arrange lecture tours for international artists around. I think it happened because Greg Wilson was a friend of mine, and I was trying to get him for a convention because at the time I was helping organise the Northern Magic Circle. Mm-hmm. Like, we really want you, and he was like, "Well, I could just do with a few extra lectures while I'm coming over, then it make it worth my while to come over." So I contacted a few clubs and arranged him a little mini tour, and then he told all his friends, "Steve Gore's the guy." So then I was inundated with people saying, "I want to do a lecture tour in the UK." I was like, oh, "Okay." So it kind of went from there. And one of the guys was John Armstrong, who's on the board at the Magic Castle, so did his tour. And he was like, "No, if you want to come over, just give me a call." I was like, "Okay." So that was 2014, just before my son was born. I went over for a week and did the lecture over there, and also a week in the parlour. So really loved it because you can't beat American audiences. Because they're there, they've come to the Magic Castle to see a magic show. They're all like, you can't fail, but to go down well. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. I mean, that's a huge bucket list thing ticked off there. That's great, especially as especially as you're not a full-time pro. It just shows. I remember interviewing John Bannon, and he was like, he got triggered whenever you mention full-time pros thinking they're better than everyone else, and it's like, no, and it's absolutely true. It's amazing to see how much success that you've had. It's brilliant.
I think I went back again actually, and did the close-up and the brunch shows for the kids shows and lectured again 2019, so before everything happened.
Oh wow, that's great.
So we took all the family out. We had our family holiday over in California, and we also tied it in to do Magic Live because Magic Live was one of my bucket list places. I kept, every year I'd say to my wife, near Christmas, like, "Oh, this convention's happening over in Vegas." She'd go, "Don't even think about it." And then we thought, I really want to do it before I die. It's one of those conventions I thought, I'd like to get over there. And we're like, okay, well, if we have a holiday over there, I thought, well, I could try and get the Magic Castle again, and it all worked out.
That's great. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Oh, wow. I mean, wow. I've never been at the Magic Castle, so there you go. It says it all. That's brilliant. Okay, let's swing back and talk about some of the tricks that you've actually created. Because first of all, do you have your own online shop?
Yes.
And what would that be? I want to put it at the bottom of the screen, first of all.
If you go, it used to be on my main website, but I've taken it off my public website so that people booking me don't just go to the shop and look at all the tricks. So there's a unique thing, which is shop.stevegore.co.uk. So shop.stevegore.co.uk, and most of the products are in there.
Okay. And how many tricks have you released now? Like, there's a lot.
About a dozen, I'm guessing.
And what's the latest stuff that you've brought out? What's the last couple? Because you mentioned a couple of decks of cards. I think those are the two latest ones, aren't
they? They came out probably about three or so years ago. So there's the Amnesia deck, which is the memorized deck that doesn't need memorizing.
I've not seen the Amnesia deck. I mean, I am a huge advocate of the memorized deck. I can't do a gig without mnemonica. Like I would happily just go and do a gig with nothing in my pocket but a stacked deck. So
I was one of these, I think, lazy magicians that goes to lectures all the time, and they do these tricks with memorized decks, and I'm like, oh yeah, one of these days I'll sit down and memorize a deck, and then you're busy with your family. And, well, yeah, one of these days I'll sit down. And I thought, there must be an easier way. So instead, I spent 6 months of my life designing a deck of cards for everybody else to make it easy. It would have been far easier just to memorize the deck in the first place.
Yeah, I think you would have done. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's got the Aronson stack on the back of every card. So all you need to learn are the 13 colours. For example, Jack is black, blue is 2, so they're easy to remember. And then they're just in columns of 10. So like the Jack of Spades, the King of Clubs, the 5 of Clubs. I'm looking in the mirror, 2 of Hearts, 9 of Spades, just going down. So it's like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52. And then these are nothing, these just fill in the gaps. Apart from this one that's second up, that's the only pip that changes. And that makes it a marked deck as well. It's very large pips, so you can see it a long way away, so you don't have to be close to tell the cards.
Wow.
I wanted to do it in mnemonica, but Juan Tamaritz didn't really want me to use his stack because they don't believe in marked decks in the Spanish School of Magic. So he was happy. I've got one of the Jokers with mnemonica on, but he didn't want it using as the main deck. So I contacted Simon Aronson, and he was very happy to have it used. So went with this one.
Oh, wow.
So because it's marked, people can cut anywhere. I can just look here, see the pip here. So it's the gold hearts. Look over here. See, that's card 12. So there's 11 cards being cut off. So there's loads of different routines you can do with it. And it was printed by Bicycle.
Cheating. That's so cheating. That's cheating. What a great idea. What a great idea. I'd never use it myself because obviously I've got it.
Yeah.
But I meet so many people that try to memorize a deck.
Yeah.
They never take it out into the real world. They get it memorized. They never take it out in the real world because they are unsure. They're kind of there, but they're unsure and they don't want to risk screwing it up. Having a deck like that would give people so much more confidence.
Yeah, so it's just there. If you need to know, you can just glance down.
Brilliant.
So even now, I know the first dozen cards in Aronson, but I still don't know all of them because I don't need to. So name any card, and I can just glance down in a second and tell you what position it is.
King of Clubs.
King of Clubs, position 2.
Well, that's nice and easy. I didn't know. It's 18 in mnemonica, I can tell you that much. That's all I know. That's great.
Yeah. Or any number. You just like glance down. So I'm not burning the deck for a long time. You know, so somebody says, oh, what's the card? I translate it first. So I know what I'm looking for. I just glance down and then I can see where it was. And then I can just picture in my head, right, it's the third column. It's the second card down, for example. It's 32 or whatever.
Wow, what a clever idea. And that's through Murphy's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you bought it out yourself, but it is distributed through Murphy's as well.
Through Murphy's and through Penguin.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then there was the GPS deck, which is the printed edge marked deck.
What? How did I not know about this either? What's this?
So yeah, it was when I was creating this deck, my original prototype, instead of having having them in columns this way, I had them in columns going across, which was a bit weird. But at the time, then I had like a checkerboard background square, which gave me the position number. So this is a lot easier. But at the time, I was doing it a full print card design, and I had different checkerboard backgrounds. And then I noticed when the deck beveled, I thought, oh, I can see the edges of the cards going down. So that got me into playing with edge mark deck. So this is I don't know if you can see on the camera there.
Yes,
the tiny little dots on the side. So this came out just before the butterfly deck, but somebody said that butterfly deck was coming out, so I contacted Andre. He'd been coming out with his working on his for a year or so before. It was just they both came out at a similar time, if you can see. So the lines split it into different sections. So the deck shuffles. You can just glance down when the deck's like this and know where any card is, and then you can control it or do whatever.
Wow. What a great idea. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And they come with routines and so on and so forth, do they?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good. That's really smart thinking. Both of those are great.
So they were printed by USPCC, so I had to put a big order in for to get them printed.
What a great idea. Did you have you had anything else that's come out since those?
The latest thing is the Together Forever, which is my version on the anniversary waltz,
which I'm going to be reviewing at some point very, very soon.
Hmm.
Do you want to tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, do you want me to show you it?
Could you?
I can do.
I'd love you to.
We don't have two people here, but just bear with me a second.
I can be two people.
You can be two people, so I'll just stand up. Otherwise, so I'll bob down first. Do you believe in true love?
Absolutely.
There's a slight hesitation though. So I'd usually do this for a bride and groom, or a couple if it's an anniversary or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find two cards that are going to represent you two. So make sure that all the cards are different, which you would expect in a pack of cards.
Yep.
Then I'd usually find a table somewhere and get them to cut the cards. So they cut the cards anywhere they like. I'll say at one point in your life, your paths crossed, you met for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you known each other? And they'll say, well, however long.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just get the cards where you cut. So in this instance, they've got the 3 of spades and the 2 of hearts.
Yeah.
But there are different options, obviously. And then so, oh, just get the cards signed. Just grab my pen for a second. It's in the other pocket. What name shall I put on this card, Craig?
Put my wife's name, Sarah.
Sarah. Okay, so I'll write Sarah on here. And so just before you sign your card, I want you to get a mental image of the time that you first met. Whereabouts did you meet?
In Birmingham. It was a dating website, Yahoo Personals, and then we eventually met in Birmingham at a place called the Mailbox.
Lovely. Okay, so we'll get your. Shall I write Craig on this side?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Put a little love heart on there as well.
Nice.
So I'll hold the two cards together. So I'd get the bride and groom then to hold their card. So one would hold this card and say, you know, there's Sarah's card, there's Craig's card, and they're holding this, and I say, and just say the magic word, "I love you."
I love you.
And then the cards are then fused together, and
that's really nice.
And so some people think the cards are stuck together, but if you feel it, it's one single playing card, and that's the moment when they go, "What?" And they're like burning this.
That's nice. That's normally when people come up with their variation on anniversary waltz, it's exactly the same thing. It's just a different handling. That's the first thing I've ever seen that's an actual, different way of doing it. I love that stepped fusion. I think that makes it even more magical.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. So do you need refills for that? Like, how many do you get with it?
In the box, you get 28 cards. So usually I'd perform it. I wouldn't do it at every group, but I'd perform it, a couple of times, 4 times a night. So you get a pack, and there's four different pairs of cards. And they'll
work with most cards because you're being very, very unspecific about the pack design, aren't you? So that'll work with a rider back deck. It'll work with a phoenix back deck.
Yeah, they'd have to be pretty picky to notice the back change. They were designed and printed by Cartamundi, so the back deck design matches the Copac 310, but you could get away with using anyone, to be honest. But it's printed on the actual card stock that they print the decks with, so the nice linen finish.
And you just have those around, carry those around with you, add one into the deck, and away you go.
Yeah, it's very simple to do.
That's very clever thinking. That's really clever thinking. I love that, Steve. That's really good. Can I ask you very quickly? I mean, you've shown me some incredible things there that I've not seen before. Do you have any advice on creating a magic trick? It's something I like to ask any creator that comes on this channel. Because it's the holy grail, isn't it? For new people getting into magic, it's the holy grail. I want to become a creator. I want to get my name on a product. I want to start putting products out there. I want to become a millionaire. I want to be the next Jay Sankey, whatever it may be. And do you have any advice for people that are wanting to make a name for themselves as a creator, as somebody who's created all this stuff and, you know, self-published as well as published through other companies as well? Any advice on the creative process and maybe even how to actually eventually get that trick to market?
I suppose most of the time it's just looking at existing effects that you already do and just thinking, how could I do it differently? You know, just like with the Invisible Deck, thinking instead of just doing it straight out the box, how could I just tweak it? Whether it's a different presentation but the same effect, or just changing the gimmick somehow. The reality is most people don't make money out of creating products. So nobody's a millionaire. Maybe Matt Mason, but
maybe Jay Sankey. Maybe Jay.
Yeah, maybe Jay Sankey.
I'm pretty sure Josh Jay's doing pretty well out of Vanishing.
Yeah.
Outside of that, yeah, totally. Okay. So, are you working on anything new at the moment?
I'm playing about with the Invisible Deck, like you. Looked at your begins with V. Visible. Yeah. I knew it began with V. I was thinking vision. It's not vision. It's
yeah.
Visible. And so, yeah, some lovely things on there.
Well, I'm the same as you. I love the Invisible Deck, and it's such a crying shame that people do the same thing and nobody changes it up or varies it. So, you know, I would love to. I'm a huge fan of the Invisible Deck. So if you've got your own stuff, I would love to see that, because, you know, Eric Stevens showed me something the other day, which is an absolute killer. Do you know Eric Stevens?
Yeah. Did he do the hot rod?
Oh no, he didn't. He showed it with the Invisible Deck.
Okay.
I've been doing his hot rod thing for years. No, he showed me this thing with the Invisible Deck, which is like a progressive sandwich using the Invisible Deck, which is so smart, so clever, so clever. And he showed it me. I'm like, damn, I wish I'd thought of that. So I love seeing other people's take on the Invisible Deck. So if you know, if you ever do put a project out to do with the Invisible Deck, please let me know. I'd love to see.
Oh, will do.
Yeah.
You want to see my quick routine?
Man, I'd love to see it if that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind. So I'd usually get two people. So I say I've got 2 invisible packs of cards. I've got a red pack and a blue pack. Which pack would you like, Craig? The red or the blue?
I'm going to go with the red, please.
Okay, take the red. You got them?
Got them.
Okay. You can do all. I won't do all the jokes, but
no, I'm full in.
Okay.
I'm here with
Can
my
you shuffle cards? Can you shuffle cards, Craig?
I can, yes.
Shuffle? Yeah, shuffle away. I should have mentioned take them out of the box first.
There we go. Hang on.
You can you want to use this invisible table. It looks a bit more gentlemanlike.
All right, okay, hang on. Thank you. There we go.
Spread the cards out face down in front of you. Take any card out. Make sure it's not a joker. Don't let me see what the card is. Hide the back in case you think it's a marked card.
Good point.
I can't see you now. There we go. Now, I'll ask you in a moment what the card is, but for now I don't want to know. So just remember the card. I'll take the rest of the deck away. You don't need those. And then I get somebody else. So you've got the blue pack of cards. Take them out of the box. Put the box just in your pocket. And spread them out face down. Now I'm going to turn away because otherwise I would see your card. When I look away, I want you to turn it face up, the other way to the blue back cards. Place it in any way you like. Spread all the cards together. So if you can do that, I'll look away.
Okay. Put it in there.
Yep.
It's up in the face down deck. Square all the other cards up, yeah?
Yep. And if you can throw the cards to me, I'll catch them all through the screen.
You want them in the box?
Just throw them first of all.
Okay.
Look
at that.
By the way, you mentioned the box. Can you, when I say 3, can you throw the box at the cards?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, ha ha! Yes. I love that. Oh, that's sick.
Now, for the first time, what was the card that you were looking at?
7 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds? Seriously? Because if that's true, there should be one card the wrong way around in the pack. If I spread through, you see that. Let's have a look. There's just one card with a red back in the blue pack of cards. and that's the 7 of diamonds.
Oh, Steve, shut up and take my money. Tell me that is available now. That appearing deck makes it, and the red card in the blue case, and the whole thing is just so clever and smart. Man, that's incredible.
It's not on my website, but if you message me, I do have some. I've had them made by Steve Rowe, the Gimmick King.
Can I buy one of those off you, please? I don't like to swear on magic and talk magic, but I would perform the shit out of that. That is incredible. That is so good. Man, are you releasing that at some point?
Yeah, I might do. Yeah.
No, there's no might about it. You have to release that. That is such a clever way of doing the invisible deck. That is
just getting the gimmicks made, I suppose. That
is cool. That is cool as hell. I love that. We need to talk when we've stopped filming. I need one of those in my life. I really do. That is brilliant. Oh man. Okay. So yes, you are working on other stuff at the moment, and it's killer. So that's answered that question. So I've got one more question for you, which is, what's next, Steve? And what I mean by that is, you've achieved so much. You've performed all over the UK. You've performed at the Magic Castle more than once. You are a very highly respected creator. You've got some amazing tricks out. You've worked with various different companies, on top of running a business as well. And as somebody who runs 3 businesses, 3 limited companies, I can tell you that's no easy, mean feat either. Being able to run a limited company whilst at the same time being a performer and a creator and everything that you've done, and make a success of it, which I know it must be if you've been running it for all these years. Incredible, brilliant stuff. So what's next? Is there anything left on your magical bucket list that you haven't ticked off yet that you'd like to do? Is there anything, what are your plans in the future? What you got going on?
Magic Live was my bucket thing before. I'd just like to do more convention, really. I've not done Blackpool or Session or any of the big sort of UK ones. I've done the British Ring ones. And if we can get traveling the world again. I lectured for the Maltese club before lockdown, so that was my last flight.
Right.
End of 2019, I lectured for Malta, which was nice. You feel like a sort of an international spy playboy, where you're catching the plane, flying in for the day, doing a show and flying out. And but for me, families always come first. So I've been like the house husband while my wife's worked. So I've brought my 3 children up. So family always comes first. So
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. Family must always come first.
Yeah,
100%. That's fantastic. That's really, really good. Well, you know what, Steve? This has been, I knew it would be, and it has been a great interview. I said at the beginning, you're one of the nicest guys in magic, and you really are. You're also super creative. Anybody who's watched this, go buy all of Steve's stuff. I'm going to put the shop link down at the screen, and make sure, big tip from me, even if you don't get anything else, get one of those glasses cases off him, because honestly, that thing kills. I've got a massive shopping list of stuff that I need off you now, by the way. It's a mile long.
You haven't mentioned my USP.
Your what?
My USP, as in what I'm known as.
What's that? What?
The happiest magician on the planet.
Well, I mean, I always knew you were a nice guy. I didn't realize you were actually known as the happiest magician on the planet. Where did this come back from?
It happened when I first did the Magic Castle. I was just...
We need to hang on. I was going to wrap it up, but no, let's put the pin in that one. Right, I need to know what's going on here. What? I never heard of that.
They have the people that introduce you sort of in the parlor shows. It's sort of like, right little thing. And I was like, I can't remember if I said to him about me being the happiest magician. I thought it's something you can't really quantify, because I sort of smile all the time. And then he came out and went, "Ladies and gentlemen, the happiest magician on the planet." And I was like, "Oh, I kind of like the sound of that." And now if you Google who's the world's happiest magician, it's me.
That's so cool.
Google's picked it up, so
that's brilliant.
And it helps with marketing. I can just say to people, just Google happiest magician, you'll find me.
Well, you know what? Now I've got the strap line for this interview. Steve Gore interview, the happiest magician on the planet. There you go. I didn't even know that. That's cool. And it just shows how important SEO is. You know what I mean? Just being able to say, yeah, just Google happiest magician on the planet and you'll get me. I mean, that's a powerful marketing tool right there.
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. Wow. You just keep throwing these things. I'm gonna wrap it up, but I tell you what, tell me one last thing. I want to know one last thing.
Okay.
The funniest story that's ever happened as a performing magician. We've all got those funny stories. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I bet you've got a million of them, but just anyone to finish things off.
Can you tell me your funny story while I'm thinking of mine?
Well, I've got a million of them. I'll tell you one. So when I'd never performed on stage before. I'd done kid shows, I'd done close up, and I had a phone call from a comedy club in Warrington saying, hey, we heard you're a magician. I was like, yeah. They said, will you be the headlining act at our comedy club? And and I was like, yeah, I will. He said it's in 2 weeks time. I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll do it. And I was performing at the time with a guy called Russell Leeds. And I turned around to Russ when I saw him and I was like, I got good news. We got our first stage gig. We're headlining at a comedy club. And he was like, oh, that's amazing. Now, the problem is I had two issues. Other than that, it would be fine. The first issue is I wasn't funny. And the second issue was I didn't really perform on stage. I wasn't particularly even that good at that time. Other than that, it would have gone really well. And we just did the typical magician thing and didn't even think about it. And the night before the gig, we planned out what our stage act was going to be. And we were meant to do two 25-minute spots. We were meant to headline the first half and then headline the second half. And it was just terrible. It was cringy. The whole thing was awful. So we went there and I was a bag of nerves when I got there. And all these acts that went on in the first half before us was so much better and so funny. And I just knew we were going to die in our arse. And we had this two-person show together that just wasn't funny. And we had one of those Fabrice boards where you wrote down something. It was like the precursor of the Mind Spy and everything like that. It was one of the very first ones of those. You write something down, and then you've got a little monitor at the back that can tell you what they've written. So I had this incredible idea for a lottery prediction where so I was on stage and I had this Fabrice board and I had the volunteer on stage write 6 numbers down, lottery numbers. Russell was backstage with a flat change bag and a tray full of little balls numbered from 1 to 60. And the whole idea was, as he was seeing the numbers pop up on the monitor backstage, he would just take the balls, put them in the one side of the flat change bag, then tip the other balls in the other side of the flat change bag, and then bring the bag out. That was the plan. So I got somebody up on stage and I was like, right, okay, here we go. Lottery thing, blah, blah, blah. They already lost interest, to be honest, at this point, but I was muddling through. And I was like, right, okay, write 6 numbers down. And then I said, right, Russell, have you got the balls for the draw, please? And he said, off stage, he's in the wings. No. I'm like, how? They're there. You're sitting in front of them. No. I was like, where are they? And he went, I can't find them. Now imagine how embarrassing this is. I'm on stage. We're just having this argument as to where these bloody balls are. The audience member, he was losing. The audience hated us. I was like, where are they? And I looked into the wings and there was Russell going, it's not worked. I'm like, oh, good grief. Right, okay. I was trying to buy time. I never worked on stage before. I was like, do you think they might be in the car? He said, no, I don't think so. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to try and do this again. So I took the piece of paper off the guide, which he'd folded up into about 5 different folds. I was like, now you wrote the numbers on here, haven't you? And I shook it open in one flick. I was like, oh, I've opened it. I've seen them. We're going to have to write it down again now. Oh, what a shame. At which point there were audible boos coming from the audience, right? So I was like, write them down again. So he wrote them down again. I knew it worked this time because I heard off the stage Russell go on the mic, yes. So I was like, okay, well, that's obviously worked then. So I bring the balls out, but the guy had got bored and he just wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it was so anticlimactic. And it was a dance squib to the first half. The booker came up to us in the middle of in the break before the second half, and he said, you know, we wanted you to headline the second half as well. we think it'd be better if you just did the first 5 minutes and just did one very quick trick. I'm like, yeah, okay, we get it. So we did this one trick, which they hated. Yeah, hated. We sucked. And then the final act that replaced us, I'll never forget the guy's name. His name was DJ K Weezy. And he was a rapper, and his thing was to take suggestions from the audience and rap about them.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there in the wings with Russell, along with all the other acts, watching him. And I had to sit there for about 15 minutes while DJ K Weezy rapped about how shit I was. I honestly, I've never wanted the ground to swallow me up more than that moment right there. It was dreadful, Steve. It was horrible. So, and it put me off performing on stage for years. It took me a long time to get back to it, but there you go.
I don't think I could beat that.
Nobody could ever beat that.
A couple of bits of advice though I've just thought of. If people are performing with children, because as she was growing up, you never really know if they're going to want to perform on the night. So if you're performing with your child, always have a plan B. It's the same with all kinds of magic. Even when we had like big shows and illusions and things set, I'd always have a spare act just in the wings in case she said, "Daddy, I don't want to do it." Because you can't force your children onto the stage. You know, she's only there because she loves performing. She never did. We always did every show, but always have a backup plan, especially if you're working with children. But it's the same with any magic as well. If you're putting a routine together, always think what could go wrong. You know, how where's the plan B? Because one day it will happen that something will go wrong, something's in the wrong pocket. So for us, we've always got our invisible decks in our pocket, so that'll get us out of a few scrapes of lost cards and various things. But if you're just doing a set as well, always have an extra trick in your pocket so that if something does fail, you can always go to something that won't fail. Because you can't finish a set with like, sorry, it's not worked, and shuffle off.
That's very good advice. Very, very, very good advice. Man, like I say, it's been an incredible interview. Really has. So I'm going to put the shop down below. It's shop.stevegore.co.uk.
Yeah.
Please go and buy all of Steve's stuff because he is incredible. Go get one of those glasses cases. I'm going to be buying a load of stuff when I've got. He's not selling the appearing card case, so nobody buy it because he's not selling it. You can't buy it off him, so don't try. But in all seriousness, Steve, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. If people leave a comment, hopefully you'll see them and you'll read them. That'd be absolutely amazing. So guys, please leave a comment down below and make sure you reach out to Steve and buy all of his stuff other than the appearing card case.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Craig.
You're more than welcome. Thank you very much, my friend. And guys, don't forget, I'm going to be back again very, very soon with another 3 videos. Every day, 3 videos here on Magic TV. So I'll see you again soon. Take care. Thanks very much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.